Hi, my name is Tyler, and today my management 1001 group, including myself, Nick, Pat, Sophie and Jacinta, will be talking to you about sick leave in Australia. Sophie will be investigating the issue of sick leave alongside Jacinta. Nick will be investigating sick leave management theories. I will be talking about problem-solving methods to solve sick leave and its associated issues. And Pat will be talking about how to implement change. We will also be giving some supporting examples from our own employment situations as to how they best manage sick leave within their workplaces. We hope that we are both informative and engaging. So let's get started.
Once said, when a person is absent from work, the impact is much wider than the financial cost alone. It significantly impacts customer service, sales, staff engagement and their well-being. The extra workload created by absenteeism falls on staff, resulting in higher stress levels, poor health outcomes and greater absenteeism. It's a vicious cycle. Sick leave is taken by employees who are sick or injured. However, they are also calling in sick for other reasons. In today's society, chucking a sickie is becoming even more common than not. For example, people will call in sick if they forget to take time off work for a party or if they plan on drinking the night before. It also become a ritual for people to call in sick when they're not. This has caused a major problem for people in the workplace because people are feeling entitled to be paid sick leave whenever they call in sick. And because you're able to get a doctor's certificate from almost anywhere, it makes it harder for the employees to weed out those that are truly sick from those that aren't, or are just chucking a sickie because they don't feel like working. Other reasons for people to chuck a sickie involve having family problems in which they don't want to let their employees know of, which actually falls under another leave called personal leave, as well as making other plans, or they just don't feel like going into work. Employees have an increasingly amount of people calling in sick or just not turning up, which is putting an increasingly amount of stress on the employers and their fellow employees. It is also costing employees money. On average, it is costing the economy $30 billion a year, on average about $340 a day, which has drastically risen since 2013. It's also costing individual employees $3,230 annually. Employees are eligible for up to 10 days paid sick leave per year, however, some are receiving a lot more than that, even if it's unpaid. The average number of sick days per person is 9.5, but since 2010 it's risen 10% and averages 5% of workers on any given day in a workplace.
Well, we rushed it.
Increasing levels of staff absenteeism and productivity losses associated with people taking too much sick leave is of growing concern to employees, costing employees and businesses both time and money. The Australian Bureau of Statistics conducted a national survey about sick leave in 2008. They found that on average the total toll of sick leave annually on the Australian economy is quantified into 12 million days of reduced productivity for Australian businesses. This number is a whole lot bigger than what would be taken if Australians were to adhere to their set leave allowance. Illegitimate sick leave is contributing to a steep rise in absenteeism rates, but it's also amplified through the cost that businesses outlay to subsidise the worker who is absent with another employee during this time. A number of emotional, social and physical factors affect levels of absenteeism within the workplace. However, a prominent issue affecting individuals is the flexibility of businesses in conjunction with the processes and procedures that they have in place regarding taking time.
So why are people taking so much extra sick leave?
Within Australia, it's been found that an increasingly popular reason for leave is in the form of carers leave. Employees are finding that they are unable to take time off in any other way to care for their family members and relatives. Many parents are often left with a dilemma when it comes to sick children, with the Australian Institute of Family Studies recognising the need for some level of flexibility when it comes to sick leave conditions that allow parents to care for their children. This should not be exploited by staff though. Some level of stability or systematic response is essential, however, to ensure that simply a sense of entitlement to sick leave is not the reason it's being taken. Take 2011 Australia Day, for example. It was anticipated by the Australian Public Service Commission that that day alone was going to cost employers upwards of $65 million just due to staff taking illegitimate sick leave and having an extended long weekend.
With the number of issues associated with the illegitimate use of sick leave and the absenteeism associated with this, we can look to a number of theories and studies which establish why people are taking improper sick leave and how this affects the overall attitudes towards work, which is such a big expense on Australian businesses. The 2005 Hudson Burnout Strategy established that 32% of managers witnessed an increase in employee burnout, 29% recognising an associated rise in sick leave. Burnout occurring when employees avoided taking sick leave as policies deterred this, resulting in accumulated illness and overall a greater incidence of sick leave as a result. The report concluded that employers should avoid overly exhaustive policies that discourage employees from calling in sick by overcomplicating procedures in an effort to cut illegitimate sick leave in their workforce. Stress is a major business concern that can lead to preventable illness that equates to employees taking sick leave. Kursik's model of job strain identifies that stress arises from job demand, role ambiguity, and the ability to receive support in the workplace environment. He identified that implementing coping mechanisms such as problem solving, resting, and time management were all useful in avoiding an accumulation of stress within employees. There are a number of contemporary concepts which have been developed internationally in place of the use of illegitimate sick leave to accommodate for personal time off. Alternative days of absence which have been implemented by several businesses around the world are days such as bereavement leave, which gives individuals time off following the passing of a loved one. Yay days, used in the UK, allocate time for individuals to explore the great outdoors. Grandparental leave, also used in the UK, allows grandparents to take time off following the arrival of a grandchild. Mental health days, a day taken by an employee to allow for mental recuperation to lower the risk of mental health negatively impacting on the individual. Self-development days, employer Click Technologies have offered one paid day off per year for each of their employees to improve themselves. One employee was said to just watch documentaries all day. Me. And finally, Doona Days, are days taken by employees after a big night out or simply can't face work. The phenomenon of the Doona Day reaches from the UK to the States and all the way down under. What differentiates annual leave from a Doona Day is that Doona Days are taken at very short notice. The Hallis turnover and absenteeism study found that nearly 60% of the employees which were surveyed would accept a smaller amount of allowed sick leave for more paid leave, just simply to improve their work-life balance. The theory of planned behaviour, which was originally outlined by a man named Zhen, indicated that the intention of the individual is determined by three factors. 1. The attitude towards the specific behaviour. 2. Subjective norms. And 3. Perceived behavioural control. This theory suggests that commitment to work is heavily influenced by the employer rather than the employee, as employers can allocate paid leave or more hours as a substitute for paid sick leave, which will improve the attitudes of the employees towards the business and lessen the perceived behavioural control of the employee. Through the implementation of tried and tested theories, employers can ensure that their employees have the necessary flexibility and conditions to maintain job satisfaction and commitment, which will inevitably reduce the amount of sick days taken by employees.
So, with sick leave costing the Aussie economy $30 billion a year, I think we need to look at some strategies to bring that figure down. Let's get something straight. Sick leave is, by definition, only to be taken when sick. It's pretty key to ensure this leave is only utilised to take time off for legitimate sickness. So, why are people taking this leave, you might be thinking? There are two main offenders in this illegitimate sick leave category. Firstly, we've got parents who may call in sick to cover a childcare need, to go to a child's school event, or just to spend time at home with their family. And then there's people like me. What do I mean? I mean young people aged 18 to 35 years old. People my age often feel entitled to sick leave, viewing it as a right, not a privilege. Young people in a business often set their priorities outside of the workplace ahead of their actual business role. detracting from their effectiveness within their role. What do we need to do to solve these conundrums? Because I'd call $30 billion a year a pretty big conundrum. We need solutions in the form of policy and procedures to keep people hard at work, satisfied, focused, and de-stressed. Most illegitimate sick leave, or sickies, is taken due to stress, entitlement, and meeting childcare needs. Flexible work arrangements can be introduced to better allow employees to fulfill their duties as a parent and to pursue their external interests. Shifted work hours, such as early starts, working from home, and part-time work arrangements may better cater to these needs. Flexibility assists those who need to care for children or pursue external interests alongside their position within the company. Return to work interviews can be super useful after extended leave to determine the legitimacy of the illness and further establish any other needs the employee may need fulfilled, such as whether to negotiate a reduction in paid sick leave for additional paid annual leave. Employee entitlement can be discussed here with measures put in place to curb this behaviour. Everyone loves being healthy, right? Health promotion initiatives can assist in promoting the well-being of the individual. Mental health initiatives to reduce stress, such as limiting employee workload, tailoring task design to suit the individual, and sponsoring corporate growth opportunity for the individual can create a mentally sound work environment. Fostering physical health through gym memberships and the provision of a regular team lunch can boost employee satisfaction, reducing the likelihood of absenteeism. Nokia Employ, a proactive health management plan that has increased their staff satisfaction and retention rates. Through offering an on-site gym and promoting their Thursday team lunches, the team are given every opportunity to keep healthy and socialise with other co-workers. Through implementing and communicating appropriate policies to employees, businesses can reduce illegitimate sick leave and absenteeism, ensuring their employees remain satisfied in their work. So there you have it. That's how you can keep your employees from tracking a sickie. Make them feel valued, give them flexibility, and because at the end of the day, their satisfaction is your overall productive gain.
Sick leave policies. In the first paragraph of sick leave costing employers, it is stated that the Australian sickie that was once used correctly by employees has since become a national pastime without consequences. That instead of using sick leave when legitimately sick or injured, it is now seen as an entitlement, particularly amongst younger Australian workers that is. This emphasises the need for effective sick leave policies within Australian businesses. Now, in terms of paid sick days, there are many types and options that an organisation may choose to utilise. Some businesses give a certain number of sick days to their employees, for which they have the full year to then use. Some businesses even take that further and allow employees to take unused sick days from 1 year onto the next. And considering that many organisations include paid sick leave in their policy, it's quite despicable to think that employees still fake being sick, which occurs particularly around public holidays. For example, Australia Day.
So, how can we successfully implement the new policies outlined through Nic's theories and my approaches to proving legitimacy and equity in sick leave?
When implementing a new sick leave policy and making changes to a pre-existing one, it is important that the new policy works for both the employee as well as the employer. That is, that job satisfaction for the employee is not lost or jeopardised. However, management can still monitor issues such as fake leave. For that reason, it is important that the sick leave policy includes measures to ensure the authentication of employee sick leave. Many organisations just require a phone call from the employee, which in turn places a lot of trust in the employee and does not help the issue of fake sick leave. This is why many businesses now request a doctor certificate to provide adequate proof that the employee was actually sick over the amount of time in which they took off work.
Effective managers will publicise the policies and procedures alongside the training of employees in the new methods. By ensuring consistency in implementing change, managers can avoid conflict between employees and work to overcome inertia of the workforce. Let's take a look at how our current employers keep us satisfied and provide flexibility to alleviate illegitimate sick leave.
My employer, the Cotton On Group, try to curb rates of absenteeism and turnover within our stores by promoting team building exercises and interaction between staff members out of hours. We have themed dress-up days that improve group morale, as well as other initiatives such as yoga sessions and team lunches. Not only does this improve the mood within our workplace, but this in effect promotes productivity and keeps us motivated and productive in our work. They believe that the more satisfied we are as staff, the less we will want to take unnecessary sick leave. This is the case across a number of companies worldwide.
At McDonald's, it is notorious for people to call in sick or just not show up to their shifts. At the restaurant in which I work at, we average at least one sickie per day, and on a dreadful day you can have up to 3 sickies and another 4 people just not show up for their shift. It puts a strain on all the other people that are working. To try and minimise this, the people who are constantly not showing up no longer get rostered, and those that are sick or injured are sat down with and are worked through a back to work plan. But apart from that, unlike the Cotton On Group, Macca's doesn't really do anything to help support the workers.
I know that my employer, the Just Group, give flexibility to my work arrangements, knowing that university is my #1 priority. By flexing around my personal priorities, I'm able to dedicate myself to tasks when in the workplace and dedicate myself to studies in my increased amount of personal time.
Similar to the Just Group, British Petroleum also grants me great flexibility as they roster me on around my uni commitments. This flexibility keeps us from taking unnecessary sick leave.